me to talk the dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grab some tape. It finally happened. Finally happened on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Hot off the presser. All right, we tell you every Tuesday. Kirby's got that press conference. Doesn't always love to be there. Fresh off of practice, he's got other things to do. But anyways, that one ran from like 6:20 to about 6:45. And then we got Zion Logue. And then we got Xavier Sori. And by the time I'm wrapping up, it's like 7:25. I'm packing up, getting ready to run to the truck. And yeah, it finally happened. We were late to open the show. Sorry about that. So the show got started a little 5 minutes late. Glad to have you guys in here. Let's go ahead and get this right off the bat. Let's get this hot off the presser because we love it oh so much. Hey, man, you ain't have to crawl under the camera like that, man. Man's went straight up military style, like he was, ducking firearms right there. Let's see here. Let's get on the actual correct notes. I think I printed the wrong day's notes, by the way, over there is what it's looking like. I did, yeah. I wanted to know today, hey, a couple of things. One, how did Dalen Everett play? He thought he played okay. I asked him at the end, I phrased it incorrectly, and if you phrase a question incorrectly, he'll just move on with you. I meant to ask, like, hey, those guys are really good. How many of those completions basically were because those guys were really good on Dalen? But it ended up coming out on just comment on how good those guys are, and that just he's already moved on to UAB. He's not going to compliment the other guys. So that was my problem. But he did say there was some room for improvement from Dalen Everett's part, and I think that could be true. We talked about it a little last night, and we definitely showed it on the film. Guys, when you see, all right, when somebody's in trail position, stand up, Kirby. Come on. Let's do this right now. I want to do this right now. Go to 1 and spin 1 to 3. This is a great opening to a show because I'm tired of seeing it on social media. So we're going to talk about it right now. Okay, stand with your back to the camera for me because you're too handsome to stand next to me without with your face up there too. Okay, he's the receiver. All right, if I'm a corner and I'm like over here, let's get on this side, and I'm over here with like my butt to the sideline, guess what, guys? I'm in zone coverage, so stop, turn around, and look at the quarterback. All right, if I give that up, that's fine. That's by design. We gave that up. Now, turn back again. Now, if I'm in trail position, if I'm on his butt, go that way, and I'm following this sucker like this, now stop, turn around. Okay, and there's space there. That was man coverage, and he just beat me. All right, but if I'm on him, man coverage. If my butt's to the sideline or elsewhere, zone coverage. Go sit back down. Here's the problem, okay? When y'all see corners giving up coverage or yardage, you just assume it's his fault. But it's not always his fault. Sometimes we are conceding that because we are not going to give up this. Okay, and that's how defense works. Okay, you got to score. You got to put it in the box or kick it between the bars. Okay, so if we can't move the ball down the field, or if we can move the ball down that field, that's fine. We will concede that. What we can't give up is points. All right, and stopping one thing or preventing a deep threat for one reason and giving up another does not mean that the corner is getting beat. Okay, so we have to learn those two things as a fan before we're critical of an individual's play. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes we can be hypercritical on those positions. Tackles, okay, corners, all right, defensive backs in general, because all of a sudden you see one replay and so-and-so's getting beat, run to Twitter, guy's garbage. Well, guy's playing cover 3. And he's got responsibilities for a third. Or guys playing cover 4, and he's got responsibility for an entire quarter of a field. So yeah, he gave up the 5-yard hitch or the 5-yard slant. Yes, okay. Holy rant. Let's get back to the presser. I wanted to know what the questions about the portal, and people are like, well, Georgia ain't really out here active in the portal. You're right, but their roster's getting scouted like hell in the portal. I asked him today essentially, hey, are you proactive or reactive with this stuff? Because you guys know there is you might not know, there is a portal window now, okay? So all of the players that are pissed off with their standing or don't like where they're at right now, they're all fitting to hit the portal nowadays. Boom, December 7th. Like, it's going to happen. Georgia's going to be in the middle of preparing for an SEC championship game, and slam, kids are going to hit the portal in droves, okay, because the portal window is going to open up. So I wanted to know, hey, Coach, y'all proactive or reactive? Are y'all already going through, the conferences, going through the rosters, looking at the film, evaluating? Do you have your scouting department go ahead and collect this information so when it happens, okay, you can go ahead and make decisions? You already know what's happening, okay? You already know who you might want, and you can be proactive. Or are you reactive? Are you sitting back and saying, all right, Jimmy hit the portal today. Let's go evaluate Jimmy. Is Jimmy good enough to play here? No. Cross him off the list. On to the next Joe. Are you doing that? And his answer was, we're not Portal University, essentially. We're not that heavily invested in the day-to-day operations of running a portal business. Okay? You know who is? Lane Kiffin. And you know who has an entire staff in their scouting department nowadays to actively siphon through active rosters in college football? I would imagine Ole Miss has a department for that. Georgia does not have a department for that. He also commented when I asked him that question that he knows his roster's getting picked apart. He's been told that some of his competitors have, listen to this, have scouts on the sideline looking at their players. So when that player hits the portal, that coach is responsible for knowing information about that player, knowing ticks about that player. So you'll have teams that Georgia's playing this year that are actively scouting, not just in hopes of beating Georgia, but in hopes of stealing a player off of their roster. Okay, so I thought that was very, very interesting to hear as well. I asked him another question about, whether or not his recruiting has been impacted by, high school recruiting has been impacted at all from his standpoint of, because a lot of teams nowadays are like either taking no high school kids, all high school kids, or half and half, okay? But either way, high school kids are kind of getting the short end of the stick on these things. There's a lot more high school kids available in high school football and in recruiting in general. And his answer was, well, it don't affect me. Because, Sam Mpemba ain't never worried about this. I'm recruiting Sam Mpemba anyways. You know what I mean? Like, Sam Mpemba used to, or, the kid that's actually getting impacted by this is the kid that used to have a scholarship offered to Memphis or used to have a scholarship offered to Middle Tennessee State. And nowadays, those programs are taking 20, 25 transfers, okay, because those coaches need to win now. And he also mentioned that. And he said it wasn't his place to judge. And I'd be curious, what do you guys think about this? Because I do feel like college football coaches are in a predicament nowadays. Georgia, not necessarily. Georgia can go out and recruit top 5 classes every year, and they can develop, and he's got time, and it's a machine at this point. But if Kirby were to take over tomorrow, or if he were to take over a new job tomorrow, he might have to stack his roster differently. Are coaches responsible for making sure high school kids continue to have opportunities, or are coaches responsible for winning and getting out of that current job and on to the next one? Because that's the predicament guys are in now. Do we want to stick around and develop? Do we want to take a chance on high school kids and develop? Or, hey, if we don't win in 2 years anyways, I'm not going to be here for that kid to develop, so who gives a shit? I got to win now. It's really messed up high school recruiting.
Yeah, I think you have to find a balance of both. But you also have to take care of yourself. Obviously, like, you have a job to do. You are hired to win. You are hired to lead a successful football program. And sometimes that requires you doing what is necessary. And a lot of those instances, it's getting into the portal and taking 20 kids. But I think it is important to do a combination of both, because you cannot build a successful program for longevity just purely off of the transfer portal. I think we've seen teams become victim of that. So I think it still should be prioritized to go get high school kids.
The reason I asked this question and the reason I was curious his thoughts on it is because I heard Dion talk about this, because Dion's obviously Mr. Portal right now. And he mentioned how this has impacted high school kids and how, he's not taking high school kids anymore. Because he can't. He's got to take the 3-year junior that's ready to go, because he's got to win now, because that's the standard. He wants to win now. I would imagine that once you're consistently winning, you can continue to take Cormani McLean's. You know what I mean? 4 stars, 5 stars. And you stack those, and those are the kids you add, because, I would imagine the 3rd-year kid that's been playing at UCF is more valuable to your roster right now than some 3-star that you could possibly land or some unranked kid that you could possibly land at a place like Colorado originally without Deion Sanders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's to your point. Like, this isn't affecting the cream of the crop when it comes to recruiting. The 5 stars and 4 stars are going to be sought after.
Yeah.
I think for morality, I guess there is some responsibility to recruit high school players from a coaching standpoint, but it's not a requirement, one, and it's not going to help you win because, like you said, you get an 18-year-old kid on campus, you have to develop them. They're very green. There's a lot of waiting around that has to be done before they're all-out college football players. Whereas if you can go to the portal and get these guys that have experience, game time, and win now, it is kind of it ties you down a little bit just because you can have such a flash in the pan season with transfers, whereas recruiting takes time to develop. So
I mean, Georgia's not even in these discussions. I mean, every other program in college football right now is in these discussions. Michigan took a transfer at tackle this year. Think about it. Or Ohio State took a transfer at tackle this year. Think about that, right? Alabama is a transfer from UAB as safety right now. Last year, they took a transfer from Vandy and had him playing tackle. Obviously, took Jamison Williams from Ohio State. They have filled holes elsewhere through the portal, and Georgia's dabbled in that some, but not. It's good to see that the higher end of programs aren't having to do this in terms of monstrous roster overhaul. I think the line's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is transfer portal U, and he's been very open about having to do that and the willingness to do that. He was asked, it was a great question from Seth Emerson today about the not only the question of the rules, the clock rules, but having the data behind it. 5.5 plays, 5.5 total plays, 3 per team, okay, is about how many they've lost. So do we really need to be up in arms about the clock rules anymore? I think they suck. You think they suck. It feels like our product has sped up. 3 plays total per team. Okay, he said about 3.5, or it was 2.5 per team, 5.5 total around average per game. The first week it was bad because you had a bunch of bad football games. And I think that's kind of what you guys got, or when games have gotten much more closer and much more competitive, I don't think it's been that much more drastic with regards to the clock rules. So no need to panic just yet with those things. So that's good to hear, right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because it feels like the first half specifically is what everybody seems to be harping on, is playing so much quicker than it actually is. But, yeah, I went ahead and looked at the total number of plays that teams have ran, and it seems like everybody's still pretty much on track compared to last year. Like, I think Georgia in 2 of their games has had more possessions than they did in their first 3 games last year. Or more plays, not possessions.
More plays, not possessions.
Yeah,
And that was his other thing. Maybe we need to count the possessions, not the plays. So Statman, get on that. Compare not now. I'm talking about the Dr. J. Will. The tweet tomorrow should be themed, hey, new clock rules. Here's how many times. It's not affecting the plays. We heard yesterday, 3 total per team, right? 5.5, whatever the total number was. All right, but it is affecting or is not affecting possessions. AKA, keep freaking out or shut the hell up. Clock rules not that big of a deal. That's what we'll find out tomorrow. You can follow J Will at Dr._J Will, right?
Yes, sir.
How about them apples? And at Kirby24K.
_24K, yeah.
_24K. And you can follow me, obviously, at Brooks Austin BA. Welcome into tonight's show. We got a great one for you. Before I go into that, Zion Logue, obviously, noticeably kind of sick to his stomach when talking about giving up a rushing touchdown. Apparently, this is against the rules at the University of Georgia. This is something that Kirby talked about this week. They don't allow rushing touchdowns. When you rush the ball in, that's like spitting in their face, or in my family where I come from, calling me a punk. You call me a punk, that's like the worst thing you can call a man, in my opinion. If you ask my daddy, giving him the middle finger is the worst thing you can do. Giving the middle finger in traffic is like immediately ready to set my pops off, like still to today. Still ready to scrap over a middle finger in traffic. It's just something the folks out there in the Midwest just didn't handle very well. So yeah, on to that. Anyways, does not like giving up rushing touchdowns. They gave up one Saturday, and a pretty physical one Saturday, where it's like, dude got hit at 2, okay, and then was like, oh, we're playing Georgia, don't worry, I'm going to catwalk this thing into the end zone, and then get up and talking to that CBS camera. So they weren't necessarily happy about that at all. Kendall is in rehab. Roderick is in rehab. Don't think either one of those are going to get back. Neither of them are practicing. Javon Bullard.
Man, you were doing so good.
Was doing so good. So dang good. Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard, okay, is back running on treadmill underwater. So don't believe he's necessarily going to be too ready to play this weekend against a football team in UAB who, hey, little birdies. I got some birdies out there in Birmingham. Little birdies telling me this is a bad football team. This is a bad football team that ain't necessarily excited about coming in to Athens this weekend. So just do with that what you will, 39-point spread. That's a lot of points, but do with that what you will. Anyways, don't think those guys are going to play this weekend. Austin Blaschke suffering through a sprained MCL, it sounds like. Loved hearing some more confirmation around here. We've been telling you what about recruiting with regards to position coaches around here. I know I do this to you guys a lot. I test you with your retention here. I have always said that Georgia is very unique in the sense that their recruiting has been put on the shoulders of their position coaches. Their position coaches are the evaluators. Okay, so when you come in and you're hired as the director of player personnel, it's not like you're going to walk into the room, okay, and say, Stacy, I don't think Jamal Merriweather's pretty good or very good. I don't think we should take him. Or, hey, you might be able to give some suggestions, but the room is his. Okay, who they decide to take is on the shoulders of the offensive line coach, is on the shoulders of the defensive backs coach. The quality of the room is on the shoulders of the running backs coach. Okay, it's on the shoulders of the receivers coach. If you don't believe me, look at what the room looked like under Cortez Hankton. Okay, and then look at how it's getting bigger and morphing just a little bit under BMAC, right? Now, offensive linemen, you're going to see some minor differences, but you get what I'm saying, right? The onus of recruiting is placed on the position coaches. Thought that was important to hear as well. Now, we got actual terminology on the two differences in rushing. We've been talking about last week. We talked about, do you rush them to contain them? Do you rush them to flush, right? Rush to flush, what we're going to call that from now on this channel. They have one that's called a contain rush and a hot rush. Their hot rush is the rush to flush. What?
Hot rush and rush to flush.
Well, they're the synonyms there.
Yeah,
the hot rush is the rush to flush. I like the idea that we're going to rush this quarterback to flush this quarterback. We're going to rush to flush.
Hot rush usually does lead to a rush to flush, though.
We could just drop all the pseudonyms and just call it Taco Bell.
There's dropping, too.
Ooh, a Taco Bell.
Just call it the Taco Bell.
Taco Bell does give you some hot rushes.
And a rush to flush.
And a rush to flush.
Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you, man. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, all right? That's the other thing I've been noticing. We check data around here, all right? Big data, big metrics guy. Believe it or not, okay? You think film guy, football dude, oh, sure, look at all them marks on that helmet. That big old airhead don't trust data. I do, to an extent. No, I'm not placing the evaluations in the data, all right, with regards to the film. But, hey, we do check the data on this network, and a lot of you folks don't subscribe. So if you found us tonight, if you like it at all, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Trying to get to 20,000 before the end of the season. I think it's going to be easy cake money. I don't want to challenge you too much, like maybe 30,000, maybe 40,000. Who knows? Who knows? Okay? Anyways, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, liking all that good stuff. Fire off in the chat. We love to hear from you tonight. We got Give 'em 3. We're going to give them 3 tonight. Somebody said get rid of the Give 'em 3. I'm going to get rid of you in the comments next time you say something like that. 3 ways Georgia can improve ahead of week 4. I can't even believe this one got put in the show notes. Should Florida concern Georgia now on the schedule? 1 win, fellas, huh? I saw who wrote the show notes tonight?
I did.
1 win.
It makes you feel better, my answer.
We got Tuesdays with my boy Terrence tonight. Friday nights, Mike debuted today. And we got votes going up over on Twitter tonight. We got 2 options. Houston going down to Warner Robins, who apparently folks from Warner Robins are really, really adamant about spelling Warner Robins correctly. It's 1 B, okay, not 2. No 2 B's in Robbins, okay, it's just Robin. All right, so Warner Robins, or we could go to Mill Creek at Parkview. Shorter commute for that one. Maybe a little bit more star power, but I do love me some South Georgia football. It's just a different vibe down there with them folks. We got concept of the day. We're going to talk a little bit about clear out routes, a.k.a. runoffs. Got another night game on the schedule apparently coming down the track.
This week?
Well, this week. You want to talk about that? Okay, I thought you were teasing another one here on the show
No,
notes.
not yet.
If you guys can't tell, the show did not get much planning tonight. I think sometimes that's some of our best work, though. It's just off the cuff. Ethan Barber, a 2024 tight end, or 2025, excuse me, tight end from Alpharetta, set to come off the board this weekend. We saw him this past weekend. We're going to give you an evaluation there. And I want to talk about this Nick Chubb thing right off the bat. Okay? I understand the need to rush to prayers for Nick Chubb. We all said prayers for Nick Chubb last night. But let's not act like this isn't one of the most freakiest individuals physically we've ever seen in our life. Let's not act like this dude don't have quads the size of Greek goddesses or god sculptures, okay? Let's not act like this isn't one of the most mentally powerful individuals God's ever created. Let's not act like this isn't one of the more mentally unique individuals God's ever created. So I love that support nowadays that's thrown towards these. The support almost felt like condolences and like RIP to the career last night. That shit is wild. This is Nick Chubb. This dude's gonna be fine. He's gonna be good. All right. I know he had one bad one, and this is another bad one. It's okay. This is one of the more special individuals the Lord ever put on the planet. He's gonna be fine. Say a prayer. Tap him on the back. Let's go. Let's not act like this is the death of a career. Everything's gonna be okay. All right. Am I wrong for that? Did y'all feel the vibes last night? The vibes last night to me were like, oh man, it's okay. It's gonna be all right.
I didn't understand the people saying like, oh, this might be a career ender. Plus, I mean, if you are gonna find a silver lining in all of this, this might be the way that Nick Chubb finally gets out of Cleveland because of the way his contract works and the money's not guaranteed next year. They could go ahead and cut him off and they could, use money elsewhere. And that's what that man needs. Get him out of Cleveland. He suffered enough. Get him on a winning football program.
Yeah, I think the response came in the fact that everything you've seen with running backs in the league this year where they're kind of being undervalued, kind of pushed to the side, where you look at a guy who's had 2 catastrophic knee injuries, and a team's probably not going to be as inclined to sign him or give him a contract as it would an up-and-coming rookie or someone who hasn't been in the league as long, which I think that's where the concern came from. But I don't think this is the end of Nick Chubb's career. I would be shocked if it is.
I mean, honestly, he's been one of the most consistent running backs in the entire NFL. Like a guy that, like, Derrick Henry has had a bit of a drop-off over the past couple of years. Yeah. Nick Chubb, since he entered the NFL to now, has been consistently good. And I think he has been a top 2 running back, and he probably isn't 2.
Kirby mentioned today that he spoke to Ron Corson about it, and Ron thinks he's going to be fine. I mean, it's obviously a pretty extensive rehab, but everything's going to be all right. I think we got our boy Terrence loaded up back there in the back room. Let me know when you got him fired up. We'll go ahead and get our guy Terrence onto the channel and get him in and out. He is a very busy individual, and I know they got another big football game coming up this week. They have played Roswell, Alpharetta, and I think they got North Cobb this week. What's up, Terrence? How we doing today, baby?
Man, I'm great. How about yourself?
I cannot complain. We're a little bit late running to the show tonight, but it be like that every once in a while. All right, Terrence, you bit your tongue on Twitter this weekend. It seemed like you were pretty frustrated with some of the takes you saw on your Twitter timeline, man. You're ready to tell some people off. You say you're going to have to bite your tongue. The floor is yours, sir. What were you so frustrated with this weekend?
The biggest thing is so many quarterbacks that really think they understand the quarterback position. I played quarterback. I played a little at Georgia at my time, and for people to get on Twitter to say they know the reads, he's not reading this, he's not reading this. First of all, you don't know the play call. You don't know the reads. You don't understand if it's man or zone, his reads takes him to different positions. There's routes that are decoys, that are deep routes that is not even in the progression. So I'm just looking at him like, Carson is playing just fine in my opinion. Yeah. Is he playing great yet? No, but this is his 3rd start in 4 years, and we think the man is supposed to come out and just light it up and be a world beater. I think he's playing just fine. He's not turning the ball over. He's taking what the defense is giving him right now. When the defense does give him the opportunity to throw deep, like in the second half, then that's what he's taking. He got a high completion percentage. Well, I think only 1 interception. Like, this is his 3rd game starting, his 1st game in SEC. And we think because we're Georgia we're supposed to go out there and just demolish everyone, and that's just not going to be the case. I think Carson has looked better with each game. We have who we have this week: Troy, UAB,
UAB.
UAB, and you're going to see probably some more shots.
Yeah.
So I just think winning back-to-back championships is a blessing and a curse. But now because we think we're supposed to go out and just beat people down each week when Jordan Davis and Keely Ringo and N'Kobe Dean, Nolan Smith, there's a lot of talent that we have missed. And yes, we have young talent, but they're not Nolan. They're not Jalen Carter. They're not those players yet. We just have to be, not say patient, but we just have to calm our expectations down. Do I expect Georgia to be in the running when it counts? Yes. But football, man, I'd rather for us to continue to get better and better each week than peak now, and then we're not playing as well as we should be in week 12. And if you just go back, and I know you do this, if you just go back and look at that Monken 2 years ago and just look at the statistics and the way we played, people was ready to get rid of Monken. But now he's the best thing going, and I love Monken. He brought us to national championship. But he had a young starter at that point in time with Dwayne Mathis, and then we had Stetson came in. So we got to give this time to mature and figure out what Carson does best, what he needs to continue to work on. But we just think since we're Georgia, we're just supposed to go out there and just beat people down like, this machine didn't have 15 first rounders in the last 2 years. So I'm just like, come on, guys. If y'all know football, just step back and take that team, that national championship. This is not the national championship team from last year. That team is gone. This is a new, different team that's trying to achieve what the two teams achieved the last 2 years. And I've seen a lot of deficiencies in this team. But this is week 3. We have gotten better each week. So I'm just looking for improvement each week. I'm looking for each guy to go out and play better. And I did. I saw the offensive line. We opened some holes this time. We didn't get pushed back. So the offensive line played much better. So if I, as a person, George, if I could just warn it, George, just temper our expectations because we have won back-to-back championships. I get it, but this is not the same team. We have good players. Yeah. Will become great players at the end of the season. But we're not the last 2 years' teams. We're not.
It's so interesting to me, Terrence. I mean, I obviously watch the game from the box, and I see Twitter doing everything that Twitter's doing. And the only time I really look at the TV broadcast is if I need a replay. So I might look up in the box and try to catch it. But I'll sit down Sunday and I'll watch the broadcast after already receiving most of the criticism. You know what I'm saying? So like most of the Twitter feed and all my mentions, I already know what people were bitching and complaining about. And then I'll go into watching that TV broadcast, and I have no answers. Like it takes, I'm someone who considers themselves a football knowledge person. Like I know football knowledge person, well spoken. All right, I know football. Dude, when I watch TV copies and when we study them, I have to watch a play 3 or 4 times to understand why it did or did not work. I mean, and y'all are watching it on Saturday, and it's just running past your face, and you automatically just want to rush and make a reaction. And I get it; it's part of the fanatical, portion of being a fan. It's just a little bit too much for me. Again, people that know football, it takes us a minute to actually understand what we need to be upset about, or what we need to correct, or what needs to be addressed. You see the game of football the same way, Terrence. You can't just look at a play once and know exactly what happened, can you?
Right. No, you can't. Yeah. I had a guy on my timeline tell me he knows what's going on because he's coached football for 25 years. I say, sir, I coach football right now, and I don't know the play call. I don't know the read. I don't know what he's being told. So how can you know what he's being told to look at? You may think this is what he's supposed to do, but you don't know what he's supposed to do. So I just get that, for looking at the play one time, I can't tell what's going on. If I had the all 22 and I could go back and look, maybe I could kind of see what we're trying to do. But you just cannot sit there and watch the game and watch the replay and really know even Brooks, we can sit here and surmise what we think he's supposed to be looking at, but we don't know because we don't know the play call and we don't know what film study has told him to look at and what Coach Bobo and the offense staff has told him. This is going to be your read, so this is what you're going to do. We don't know for sure. We could go and surmise and think about, because we know football, this is what he should be doing, but we don't know 100%. So with Carson, I think he's playing just fine. I think a lot of people don't understand that the time with the clock not stopping really kills a lot of drives. Like, we only had one drive in the first quarter. The only criticism that I can say right now, I think Coach Smart said the same thing. I think we could execute better in the red zone, and we don't have to settle for field goal. But other than that, we are moving the football. I want the people to go look at the third down completion. We was pretty good Saturday on third down.
I think that was one of my takes preseason. I think I said Georgia was going to lead the nation in third down completion percentage, because that's who the quarterback is. The quarterback is a processor. I think it's part of the reason why he gets so much blowback. Like, when we study it, and we do have the all 22, it's up on patreon.com/Brooks Austin, and we look at it, and when we look at it, we have the answers. We sit there and look at it and process his read, and it's like, oh yeah, well, that's a runoff. Like, that portion of the route's never in the progression. You can tell by the way the guy runs the route. He never once looks back for the ball. He just fucking sprints. Guess what? He knows he's not part of the route. So we can see that, and you can tell that Carson is clicking through his reads, getting to the answers. And oh, by the way, I've never known Kirby Smart to hide criticisms. All right, he doesn't. Not at any position. Okay. If there's room for improvement, he will let you know. And every single time he's gotten to the microphone when talking about the quarterback this year, he's been not only satisfied, he's been complimentary with regards to the decision-making processes that Carson Beck has made as a starting quarterback. My question I have for you, Terrence, having played at Georgia, I can't even remember who was your quarterback. Was it Quincy? Was it hard? Was it this hard to play quarterback? Was there this much blowback to play quarterback at the University of Georgia during your time?
Social media wasn't as big. Well, I didn't even have social media when I played. So I think if there was social media, it would be pretty hard. You know, I had Quincy, I had Corey Phillips, I had David Green, I had DJ Shockley as my four main quarterback. So
good little
social
run.
media was
a good little run.
I'll take all four of those quarterbacks. So the social media wasn't there to get the armchair. Yes, you had kind of like Coach Donnie or Coach Rick call-in show on Mondays and those type things, and you just read the paper, and that was probably the extent of what I had to deal with. But this time right now, this social media where everybody is an expert and they know exactly what's going on, and I think the people who actually played and understand don't know exactly what's going on till they kind of go watch the all 22, or we just assuming this what it should be. So it's kind of frustrating just to see, and I understand that's part of the game, and people are going to voice their opinion and displeasure. But I just had to get off Facebook because that's more personal with like friends and family and people I went to high school with, and just see them just talk about, man, I can't deal with Bobo and Kirby. I mean, Bobo and Carson Beck. They're not it. We could be going through what Alabama going through right now. So what would you want to have right now is our situation or their situation right now. And I definitely would love to be in Georgia shoes and not Alabama shoes. So like, we just need to like settle down a little bit. Like Aaron Rodgers said, just relax. And I think we are okay. We are where we're supposed to be. Are we clicking on all cylinders right now? No, we don't need to be right now. Each week you want to get better. I can remember in 2002 when I played that team, we just got better and better and better each week. And we finally just lifted the roof off with finally winning the SEC championship because that team just got better each week. We wasn't the same team week one that we was against Florida State in the Sugar Bowl. I think we was the best team. Little things there that stopped us. I was a part of that. But we was a better team week 13 than we were week one. And I just see that this team getting better and better each week.
You mentioned it earlier. It's a completely new football team. There's a lot of football players playing right now who have not played a ton of football. Like Warren Brinson has played a lot of football. He's never been the main guy. His role has completely changed. He's in a new role right now. Ra Thomas just got there 5 months ago. All right. Dominic Lovett got there 6 months ago. All right. Carson Beck hadn't started a football game since 2019. All right. So there's a lot of talented football players, and they've done enough to survive some pretty piss poor situations as well. I mean, we talked about it last night. The vitriol and the reaction to the offensive performance from the first half the other night was kind of comical, considering if I told you this, they had 4 drives, all right, but one of them was a 2-minute drill with 51 seconds on the clock. They had 1 timeout and had 75 yards to go. We're going to go ahead and nix that drive, right? Most teams might even knee the ball into the half. So you really only had 3 drives in the first half, all right, and 2 of those, one of them was an 11-play drive that, covered 65 yards on the field. And then the other one was a 13-play drive that covered another 70 yards on the field. Both of which resulted in 3 total points. It's almost a mathematical impossibility without having turned the ball over, which, by the way, they haven't done a bunch this year. The one interception you talked about, Terrence, that was a tipped ball that I thought, looking back on the film, was actually a pretty safe placement. It just ended up with a bad result. It was the right process, bad result. And if you're just going to judge the results, then you're going to constantly be kind of miserable. Are you not?
So most definitely, like you said, I'll take 13, 14-play drive. I'll let you know that we're moving the ball. Carson is putting the ball in the right places. The offensive line, I think, played very well, considering how they played the first 2 weeks. You get Georgia Edwards back, who ended up with over 100 yards. Dylan Bell produced. Ra Thomas, we see why we brought him in. Dominic Lovett is playing I told you a couple weeks ago, we didn't play well as a receiving crew because I didn't think the leader was there. And that's Marcus. He wasn't there. You see what he's bringing, that toughness to the receiving corps. So we have the guys, but you got 2 tackles that's first-year starters, that Mims, who's hurt now, and Ernest Green. You got 2 tackles that's new, wide receivers that's new. Ladd McConkey is not there. I think Darnell Washington is not being there is a big loss, but Oscar is doing the best Oscar could do, and he's doing a fantastic job. On defense, Nolan is not there. Jalen Carter is not there. You have a new corner in Dylan Everett. Daniel, number 14 at safety had to come in because Javon Bullitt is not there. So there's a lot of talent. The linebackers is nicked up right now. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of guys playing different roles, and because you're a backup for a reason. So those guys are starters now, and talented as they are, they was backup last year. So that their roles have changed. With 3 games left in the season, man, look how that defense played in the second half. Look how that offense played in the second half. That shows me something clicked, and we have to continue to gain the momentum that we've gained in that second half. We have to continue. I think we will.
Absolutely. Terrence, at what point – now, I know you trained him, maybe not now, but you did. At what point do you become a little worrisome about Ladd's injury? I know it's a back injury, but like 2 or 3 weeks into this now, and it doesn't sound like there's very much optimism when we keep getting updates from Kirby.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. It's been 3 weeks now. That's a long time. Still not playing and still not there yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little worried about it. I don't know exactly what the injury is, but that's probably more serious than they're letting on. Yeah. But I'm in a mindset of right now is I'd rather Ladd sit out these early part of the season and have him for the final stretch because he is an important piece to what we do. So that means Ra and Dominique Lovett and the rest of the receiving corps have to I'm gonna tell you, CJ Smith has been getting some run. He made a block the other night. He's gonna be another guy that stretch the field. So we have talent. So I'm okay with if the injury is that serious that he needs to continue to sit out. I'm okay with because we will need his abilities later in the season. It's like Makai Muse is taking over the punt return duty, so we found a new punt returner, and we do have guys that can make plays, but we will need his services at some point, and I'd rather have him later than sooner.
Seems Ra Thomas is getting a little comfortable. What have you seen, and just how good could he ultimately be? I mentioned it on the show. We talked to a few people before the season inside the building that were like, NFL guy. Like, that's an NFL body. He does NFL stuff during practice, like just in one-on-ones without having like playing real football. You watch him move, you watch him run routes, and you're like, yep, Sunday guy. What are your thoughts on Ra through 3 games so far?
Yeah, I think he's slowly but surely coming along. I think he had a rocky start to his Georgia career with the incident with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Then coming into a different system. You know, I'm really close with Justin Robinson, who transferred to Mississippi State, and I've spoken to him about the air raid offense, and it's just different. I mean, I spoke to him about leaving Georgia and how complex Monken offense is. Yeah. To going to Mississippi State, how easy it was compared to the two. You just have to know numbers like 92. 92 tells you the whole play. 18 tells you the whole play. Then now Ra is coming from that to a offense that is very
wordy.
So it wordy, and he has to understand that it's a big difference. And from what I've been heard and told, that he struggled a little bit early on with picking up the offense. But the last 2 games, we've seen his ability to stretch the field. He's caught 2 explosive plays the last 2 games, and I just feel like he's going to continue that once he gets more comfortable. And it seems like he's getting more comfortable because he definitely got more snaps in the South Carolina game. But he's big. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He can run. He can catch. And we definitely going to need those type plays once we get into the meat of the SEC schedule. You know,
used to, and Terrence, you can attest to this, used to if a wide receiver didn't know the offense totally, we could just tag him. We could just like in every call with his tag, you know, X spot, X cross, X tag, whatever the tag is. But when we're a no-huddle offense, which most offenses are nowadays, tags become signals, and you can't tag signals. You know what I mean? Like we have to signal it in. If you don't know it, you don't know it. We have to sit out there and yell at you. That's the new tag. So yeah, you can't just make it simple for the wide receiver. Last question before we let you go, Terrence. Through 3 weeks, what's your biggest concern about this football team, my man?
Just like I said earlier, I think it's red zone. I think we have not got into the end zone enough for my liking. Once we get into the red zone, like you said earlier, we've been 13, 14 play drives, and we either stalled with a field goal. Saturday, we missed 2 field goals. So I would like to see our red zone production be better. Kicking game has to be better. We can't, miss 2 field goals. That's 6 points. And we would need those 6 points at some point in the season. So I just think red zone offense and kicking game right now is something that has concerned me. But I think Coach Smart spoke about it, so I think that will get handled. But at the end of the day, a play call is a play call, but the players have to execute that play call just as well.
Yeah, 4 for 7 on field goal attempts is wild. And 3 of those misses inside 40 yards. That's not good. Hey, Terrence, appreciate you for being here. I know you got another big one this week, North Cobb coming to town. Appreciate you, my man. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, all right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. Terrence Edwards, the legend himself. Always grateful to have my man T.E. come through here. Now that I moved away from the west side of Atlanta, it's hard for me to get over there to the bubble and see those guys practice during the offseason or see him train during the offseason. But, man, you talking about somebody you can learn from. That's him right there. That is him, as the kids say. Also, one thing I wrote down here during the interview, I always like to take a couple notes every once in a while. I remember those call-in shows with Mark Richt because Larry used to run them. Mm-hmm. This is the Opti Mortgage call-in show. We got Coach Richt here on Tuesday night. Just up next, we got Johnny from Lithia Springs. What do you got, Johnny? And then Johnny would say, well, Coach, I don't think our defensive backs are playing good enough. What do you think? And then I don't have a Mark Richt impression, but he would give some kind of coach speak. I could not imagine I mean, I know there's the call-in show nowadays, but he don't take live questions, does he?
No,
Kirby
they're
doesn't take
filtered.
live
They're
questions.
filtered through Twitter.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
They send tweets and then the staff picks which ones are asked.
That's the channel's debut of the Larry Munson impersonation. How did it go?
It was pretty good.
It was good.
It come off all right?
The chat will
The
be
chat will
the
let me
critics
know.
of it.
I mean, I would imagine if there's anything that Georgia fans are like real stern about, it would probably be Larry impersonations.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Well, let's get back to it. Yeah, we got a great show. Glad Terrence came on with us. Should we give him 3?
Yeah, let's give him 3.
Let's give him 3. 3 ways that Georgia can improve ahead of Week 4. We'll start with you, Kirby.
All right, Terrence alluded to this a little bit. I think we need to get more efficient in the red zone. Too many threes and missed field goals.
So we're going to give them 2. 1 for everyone is red zone.
Yeah.
Everyone in the chat agree. We're giving them 2 today. All right. We got not good 6 out of 10 in the chat.
They're not loving it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on it.
Told you they'd be
Not afraid to criticize that. You guys got to be a little bit more brave to criticize. You know,
I
y'all
honestly
immediately
thought it was
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah, I thought it was. Decent.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and
If
listen.
you just said I wasn't like, oh my God, that's Larry Munson.
It was ad-lib too, and
Yeah.
I didn't get to do my standard callbacks, which are what do you got, Lauren? And you know the sideline calls
deep.
were the best.
deep.
Yeah, it's too much of a deep cut. Anyways,
Number 2, get Brock Bowers more involved. He's the best tight end in the country. I
like
understand
that.
that teams are going to probably bracket him a lot
like
and do
that.
high lows, but you still got to find a way to get him the ball. He's a playmaker. Number 3, improve defensive back play. You've got a couple of guys out right now. You need to tighten up in some areas, I believe. That's the only real criticism I have on defense. I felt like pressures on Saturday were pretty good. Obviously, people are going to be like, we need more sacks, but we went over what stats are last week. So
hey, that boy Christian Kirby, give him 3. The boy Christian got recognized on the street the other night. He was like, "Oh, it's the film guy," and Kirby, the other guy.
yeah, I'm just the other guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right. You can
Well,
get
some
be
people in the
other
chat
guys.
just call you Mustache. They don't even know your name.
Yeah.
So at least you got
It's all
something.
good.
What do you got?
First one, can we finish plays in the backfield as a defensive line unit? Like
Just add him. Just add him right now. Warren, Brinson.
And I think it's because we know that they're capable of it, and
Yeah.
we know that Warren specifically is like that's very unlike a Georgia defense to not finish plays in the backfield. So when we can have the opportunity to tackle someone 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, let's finish the freaking drill. I had the Brock Bowers one. That was one of mine. But I'm going to go with sticking on the offensive side. I'm going to say, especially with Truss now probably going to be your right tackle moving forward, let's continue to improve on offensive line play. You're having to move some pieces around. I think we liked what we saw Saturday for the most part, but we continue to build off of that.
Let's Jay Will, give him 3. I've been talking to some people about all these shots, right? We want to see more shots. We want to see more explosivity. We want to see more shots. And one person I was talking to was like, how many deep balls we throw last year per game, you think?
I'm going to go with 4.
I was going to say like 3.
Yeah, about 3.5. About 3.5 times a game, they would 6-man protect, take an absolute bomb shot. Okay, so this isn't some offense that's out here throwing bombs left and right. Never has been. Okay, you're very tight end heavy, and tight ends aren't running 40-yard routes. Even if Brock Bowers is just not going to do it. All right, so that's not what your offense is. It's not what it's been created to do. And I would say, on average, that's about what you're doing right now. I mean, it is. Now, are you hitting them? No. So that's what I want to see. We want to see red zone improvement, but I want to see you start hitting these, right? I want to see when we run a seam route down the middle with Dominic Lovett and we run a 15-yard dig in with Ra Thomas, I want to see that we pick up Stone Blanton on the delayed blitz, right? I want to see Xavier Truss and, then it was Amarius Mims, but I want to see Xavier Truss and now Tate Ratledge. I want to see them pass that stunt off and make sure that the delayed linebacker blitz gets picked up so we can actually hit the dig for 20 yards over the middle of the field. That's what I want to see. I want to see, hey, we have Ra Thomas on a big skinny. Okay, I want to make sure that we're completing those balls over and over again on Saturday against a team like UAB. I don't want to see you dump the load. I don't want to see you go out there and throw all your shots. Man, come on.
Hey. Just keep rolling, baby. Just keep rolling.
I don't even have a third one. I don't know. Running back explosivity. That's what I want to see.
That's a good one.
I want to see some 25-yard rippers. I want to see some gashes. I want to see some, thank you. I saw a lot of that on the film from Dejan Edwards. It was great to have him back, man. It's like, you really notice it. Like, it's palpable. Like, as soon as you put it on the tape, it's like, phew. Oh, apparently matriculate doesn't mean to move slowly. Did you know this? Matriculate apparently means to basically, like, enroll someone into the military. Been using matriculate wrong my whole goddamn life. Shouts out to the Patreon audience hitting me in the DMs last night, let me know that I'm a blubbering idiot. So here we go. We got a whole nother hour of the blubbering idiot coming up next.